Honestly, I think this belief that something's wrong with the body is one of the most destructive beliefs that exists in the human race. When in the realm of health, at least, that when we develop a symptom in the body, something's wrong with our body. Because then we just focus on the symptoms. Like we got to fix the body, and there's nothing wrong with the body. God's already designed it so miraculously. Like if you try to think about the complexity of how a cut heals itself, like all the decisions, let's say, being made at a cellular level, all the
Yeah.
miraculous, magical things happening where like new cells are being created and built and put into place where they're supposed to be, and like uh, damaged materials being taken away. That's all happening automatically by the design itself of the human body. And there's pain, and that's part of the design. We need to feel pain because we got to protect that spot. Like you don't want to be cutting it again or like bumping it into things because then it interferes with the repair process. So we have pain to alert us to let us know something's going on. We have inflammation because that's necessary for different physiological reasons, etc. Like the body is totally doing what it has to do. But most of humanity has been led down this belief system of we gotta fix the body. Ah, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, my friend. What's happening?
Oh, tons of stuff. All kinds of things going on. So busy.
Boy. Oh, it's great to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just, in the last couple of days, I've listened to a couple of podcasts that you've been on recently, and then I re-listened to the one that we did, which was, I think, maybe 2022 slash 23. I can't quite recall. It was at least 2, possibly 3 years ago.
It was a
Um,
while ago, yeah.
Yeah, it was a while back, So catch me up. How's life? How's things for you coming out of, we were in the throes of the pandemic and all the shit fight that was going on at that time. So how's life been for you?
Well, it's been good, I guess. I mean, the pandemic just launched me into like the I guess the way I responded to it really served me well, like I just started speaking up. It just helped me become more known. So my business has grown lots since that time, and the amount of knowledge I've gained for the root cause of cancer, uh, it it keeps expanding significantly each year.
Hmm.
So I know way more about cancer than I did 2 years ago.
Yeah, I bet.
So things are going well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's
And
really profound. It's profound. It's a lot of the knowledge is beyond society. It's really just a whole different ball game of awareness.
yeah, that's really interesting because I mean, we are, as a species, we seem to be in this quickening of evolution. I'm not sure if you resonate with that. It's just like, sometimes in life you get dealt with a bit of a hand, and it makes you grow up quickly, right? So I don't know. Your parents
Yeah.
divorced when you're young, or some sort of catalyst, it throws you into adulthood really fast, And I think this last 5 years has caused people to shift in ways that is almost like, I don't know, put another way, it's like here in Australia, we used to have, I don't know, it was a show called like The Bold and the Beautiful or something like that. You remember that show,
I
right?
remember something like that. Yeah, it was a
Okay.
soap opera, right?
So look, not that I watched it a lot, but you always saw it in the background as a kid. Okay, but what happened in Australia
Yeah.
is Australia's episodes were like something like 15 or 20 years behind America. And then one day, Australia decided to catch everyone up on what was going on this fucking Young and the Restless or Bold and the Beautiful, one of those shows, right? And so
Uh-huh.
it seemed at that time, because it was like, I'm showing my age here, but everyone was just like so captured to catch up what was going on and who's sleeping with who and who did the wrong thing and all that kind of stuff. But it just sent everyone to a spin, at least for that kind of week or two that they brought everyone up to speed. So maybe a bit of a weird analogy, but it's like I feel like the last 5 years is either caused you to catch up to where you should be in life, or it's done the opposite. It's kind of like made you just retreat and become a recluse. Or unfortunately, for a lot of people, they've made decisions that have cost them dearly in terms of, maybe they're not here anymore.
Yeah, that extreme. Yeah, that's actually reality.
Do you agree with that sentiment in terms of like personally, have you felt a shift in your own spiritual growth, your own economic growth? Has there been things to you, physically, mentally that have changed for you?
Yeah, I've learned that I really had to grow up more and heal more of my own ego through this experience of the pandemic and how it launched like the Great Awakening, because then I was interacting with more people taking my courses, and I'm talking about deep stuff all the time, like emotional wounds and trauma and stress, and how to correct that. What's the truth about like how to resolve these things? And it's really sensitive topics, so it's really made me have to continue to try to heal my own stuff so that I can interact with people in a more receivable way, so that my message is more clear, and my sensitivity and compassion for what people have gone through has had to increase massively, or else I can't even help people if I can't connect sensitively and compassionately.
Yeah.
Um, I was used to facing fears already when the pandemic hit. So for me, the fear of the pandemic, the fear mongering and all the possible things, wasn't so hard on me. Within a few minutes of finding out that there's this virus that could kill you, I faced my death, my potential death, if that were even true.
Mm,
And I just decided I'm gonna live my dreams. I'm just gonna keep living my dreams. If some virus comes and kills me, then so be it. I'm not gonna change my life for this virus. That was easy for me. But
really?
I'd already been practicing facing fears for a long time, and I was already aware of a lot of stuff. So I was already aware that most stuff is just bullshit to begin with. But yeah, if I agree, it was a catapulting of awakening for many people. I think it was two extremes. It's either you put your head deeper into the sand and you held more on to indoctrinating beliefs and approaches to life. Like, well, what's the science say?
Right.
Or you went to the opposite extreme, question everything, try out everything, carve your own path, like one extreme or the other. Like you said, some people lost their lives because they ended up making decisions that really weren't good for them based on
Mm,
all the pressure, the stress, the confusion. Yeah, pretty intense.
yeah,
I
certainly.
overall I'm grateful for it. I feel like humanity needed a wake-up call. People become too like docile or irresponsible. A lot of people like I think the dark forces of the planet they grow off of irresponsibility. Like they can't even become powerful unless we decide, okay, yeah, I'll be irresponsible and I'll just give you my power, and then they become stronger.
Agreed. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely an energy siphoning that seems to fuel good or evil, I suppose. I don't think you have to be too spiritual to kind of realize that you can give your power away to the forces of good or forces of evil equally. So, I think that's well and true for sure. Do you find, as your perspective on uh, your use in terms of how you manage people's emotions, because you're working with people on a very deep level trying to uncover the root cause of cancer, and I'm sure we're going to explore more of this as the conversation flows, but that must take a toll on you personally though, right, Paul? Like do you ever do you have a dis defrag sort of method or way of like getting rid of your own sort of negative aura, or maybe you can be put into a spin, or maybe you can be too cold or closed off just because, what you're exposed to on a daily basis is like really
Mm.
traumatic or, really emotionally intense.
Wow, I that's a really good question. You know what? I think there's something special about doing the root cause work. Like if you become a coach, or even if you're not a coach and you're just doing it for your own personal spiritual growth, you can't close off. You can't become cold. Like in the medical system, I think that that probably happens a lot where like oncologists, doctors, nurses, they're exposed to so much like horrible circumstances for people and situations people are in, and it just becomes kind of like, oh, next client, okay, next client, next client. There's
Mhm.
not really much of a connection happening, and in that kind of reality, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's normal for doctors and stuff to become sort of cold. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think we understand what we're talking about. Like
Or at least desensitized to.
desensitized. Yeah, yeah. And but you can't do that with the root cause work because with the root cause work, you have to connect to the person deeply. So you have to be open and warm, not cold. You have to be very interested in all the details to really start to understand what's going on. Like when I do a root cause assessment now is what I call it because now I work for 3 hours with a person.
Mhm.
And in 3 hours time, we can figure out what went on in their childhood that set them up for cancer later in life, what the root cause of their cancer is, uh, and many of the different dynamics involved, and a general, at least, path forward to start unraveling this to heal from within. But that's 3 hours.
Mhm.
So what it's done is it's been very challenging. Absolutely, because and I talk to this with my coaches. I say, they ask me like, how do we handle this? Because you can get very involved. You start to care, and you can get literally entangled into a person's life because you're listening to and hearing about the challenges and the stresses and the pains and the losses and the anger or whatever it might be. And because you're deeply connected, it's almost like you are experiencing it too. So I have some pretty intense stories I could share. I don't know if this is the um yeah, well, maybe I could just share it. I think I could probably just tell you. Um, it's pretty personal, but mm, I'm gonna think that over. It's so intense. But let me set that aside for a sec.
Okay.
But what I want to say is that it has caused at times I have decided that I'm like done. I'm not doing the root cause work anymore. I'm giving up on the root cause of cancer. It's like it's too much because
Mhm.
I know what's going on with this client, and it's like, oh, that makes me angry. And then I know what's going on with this client, and I'm like, that just feels so horrible to me. What's happening to him? And like, you know what I mean? You can take on a lot. And
Totally.
and but I've learned to take a step back, do my own spiritual processing so it's helped me actually just get better at what I teach. Because essentially what I'm teaching is, and what I'm working on refining and discovering and figuring out more and more of is how do we grow through challenges? Instead of getting lost in them, instead of walking away with baggage, instead of having stuck emotions and or being destroyed by them.
Hmm.
How do we grow through them instead? So far I've been able to grow. A few times I was like, I think I'm done. But then I've gotten through and learned my lessons and, reached a new kind of awareness. And what it's done for me, honestly, is it's really started to help me to appreciate, and I want to use this word. I know it can be like interpreted in a zillion ways. But the word God, it made me appreciate God.
Hmm.
For example, now I distinguish the difference between like this laptop we're on. This is a man-made creation versus a river. And a river is God's creation. That's how I say it. And what I've found is that when I need to center myself and get some more self-love inside and detach from the outside world, I go to God. And that's one way. I go to a river. I go to a mountain. I go on mountain biking trails. I go for a walk in nature, um, tan in the sun. And these are all like God's creations. And I find that when I put myself in God's creation, that's just one thing, but that helps fill my cup up again. And then I'm like, okay, no. I'm ready to do the root cause work again. Let's go. And it's almost impossible to step away from it too. Like I've been doing this for almost 17 years now.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a long time. And just when I think like, okay, I understand everything I need to know now, then I'm totally blown wide open, like with new knowledge about the root cause that I didn't know was there. And that inspires me and wakes up my soul again. And then I like incorporate it all into my courses, and then I apply it with the next 50 clients. And then I see it actually helps people, and people have a higher chance of them healing. And that seems to be what's happening. That's what's happening since 2020 is I think I'm done learning, and then I get literally blown away by something, like just blown away. And most of society has no idea. Like no idea. I was a holistic coach for many years, all focused on physical stuff. Like, yeah, organic food, limit your exposure to electromagnetic radiation, take high quality supplements, blah blah blah. Grounding, like get your feet on the earth, functional exercise, not machines. On and on and on. It's like it's all important.
Yeah.
But
Only some of the parts.
the it's just the surface. Honest to God, it's just the surface. It's like
The challenge for you, Paul, is like you're dealing with two sides of the same coin, right? So you're like, you've got a disease that we call cancer on one side, and it does a certain thing within the body, which manifests in metastasize in a physical sense, I guess. Like people uh, feel it within their system and they see it and that's what their experience is. You've got this outside kind of label of what that means and what that is. And then the other side, which is like, I don't know, we'll call it like the dark side of the moon, right? It's just the things that people can't see. So you're talking about the emotional quotient, which is attached to it, and you're trying to shine a light on both sides, that could be challenging. Well, it must be truly challenging because people are like, this is my paradigm of the world, and then you're breaking that apart in a lot of cases. Maybe people come to you aware to begin with to say, look, I've tried everything else. I don't know what you're about, but let's give this a shot. Or some people go, hey, listen, I know what emotions play the role they play in my body, and I don't want to figure this out because nothing else is working. Am I on the right track?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And in the past, it was pretty much 100% of people coming to me were the first category you shared there about, which is they've tried everything and nothing has worked, and now they're told they're going to die. So they've
Mhm.
tried everything traditional and they've tried everything alternative. And the root cause is not like the root cause work is not alternative. It's not about trying to heal the body. It's really ironic, but one of the things I teach is that you can't actually heal the body. And that needs some explanation because people are going to be like you might be thinking what the hell are you talking about, Paul? Of course you can heal. I'm not saying we can't heal. I'm saying we can't heal the body. And like and I'll explain. But the traditional approach is to try to destroy this cancer that's inside our body. And the alternative approach is to try to destroy this cancer by making our body capable of healing, right? Like we want to make the immune system stronger or whatever, like something's stopping the body from its ability to heal. That's kind of the belief, right?
Mhm.
But what I've kind of come to believe is that God has already designed the human body to heal itself. So we can't interfere with that process. We can't come in and do anything really huge to change the capacity of our body to heal or not. Maybe some minor things with certain herbs or whatever. But like what I'm saying is, if you were to cut your arm, can you heal your arm? Like, no, it's your body. Only your body can heal your arm. So what a lot of people don't really understand because the society damages us so badly on the soul level, we become so disconnected from our soul, and that's the home of the root cause of cancer, that we live in the realm of the physical and in our mind. And so what happens is we try to heal the body, but we don't try to stop harming it.
Mm,
So it's like if you cut your arm, you and I both know your body knows how to heal. Like pretty much all the time, unless you cut your arm off or something like it. But if you cut your arm, it's gonna heal. It knows how to heal. God's designed it that way. And you don't have to try to make it heal or do something. But if the next day you cut your arm again in the same spot, then it's gonna start to kind of become a problem because it might seem like the body doesn't know how to heal because it's not healed yet. Like there's still a cut. Now, on the third day, if you cut it again in the same spot, now we're looking at 3 days in a row where it hasn't healed. And this is where the traditional, like the medical, and the alternative come in. And they say the traditional is okay, we have a bunch of drugs and special treatments and stuff. We're going to fix this cut on your arm. And
mhm,
what I'm saying is you can't. You can't fix a cut on the arm. Only the body knows how to do that. You just have to stop cutting your arm. But the medical system's like, no, 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 we're not going to look into your life and try to get you to stop cutting your arm. We don't want, we're not interested, we're not educated on this. This isn't our focus, like to figure out why is your arm being cut all the time. We've been trained to think that something's wrong with your body. That's why you have inflammation and pain, and we're going to try to get that inflammation and pain to go away without getting you to stop cutting the arm. So that's just a dangerous, dangerous game. Like it's really just sends people down paths that literally lead to annihilation.
mhm,
The alternative says don't do the drugs and the medical. There's alternative ways to heal your arm. For example, if you take a certain vitamin, it's known to heal cuts really fast. Science shows that the cut heals like faster if you're taking this vitamin. And what I'm saying is, okay, maybe there's some value there, but you know what's going to happen if you don't stop cutting your arm? Then you'll just buy more and more vitamins. It won't get better, or it'll look like it's somehow there's like some benefit happening, but it still just won't heal.
mhm.
And in the end, our arm just stops working altogether, but it's not because of something wrong with our body. So I hope I explained that. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I'm saying something
Yeah,
extreme,
sure.
like we can't heal our body, only our body can. We have to stop harming our body. But
Yeah,
society's not
absolutely. And
focused
there's a
on the
paradigm too
real
that you're painting too,
harm.
Paul, is like you're also saying that what the medical system any sort of system really is saying is that your body there's something wrong with it, right?
Yeah,
And whereas what I'm interpreting from you is that the actual formation, for example, of cancer in the system is your body working. Like it's kind of like,
exact.
you know,
Hmm.
I've got a cold and my body is spewing mucus, from every orifice that I have, right? So it's just like there's something wrong with me. So no, no, there's something right with you. Like if you didn't have the mucus and nothing was coming out of your system to get rid of the toxins, that would be something wrong, right? If it just all
Right.
imploded inside you. But there's
Yeah.
something right with you because your body is clearing the toxins that are in your system. Am I on the right track?
Yeah. Yeah, right. And there's something important I want to add here because sometimes people don't understand this next part. Is it's not that it's a good thing though. Like if you're coughing and spewing up stuff, if you have a tumor, it's not a good thing. And what it means is if you don't stop what's causing the body to have to develop those symptoms.
Are you over 40, successful but unfulfilled? Do you feel stuck, like you're not truly living up to who you really are? So many high achievers wake up and think, I'm a good person, I read all the books, I listen to all the podcasts, yet there's something missing. Well, you're not alone. I've been there myself quite a few times. And quite frankly, it took a lot of years of really fucking around, trying to figure out what I now call your higher self blueprint, which has enabled me to live a life and make a living with my passions and my purpose. If you're ready to break free from a life that's holding you back, I'm hosting a free training around the 5 pillars of success that will enable you to create a more meaningful, fulfilling, and purposeful life. So click the link in the show notes, and I look forward to seeing you in the training. But for now, let's get back to the podcast.
If that factor, the root cause, continues to be present, then you'll cough up more stuff. The tumor will grow, for example.
Sure.
And if it still doesn't stop, even though the body's doing what it has to do, you can die. And that's what happens a lot. Like you still have to. So it's helpful. It's so important to understand. Honestly, I think this belief that something's wrong with the body is one of the most destructive beliefs that exists in the human race. When in the realm of health, at least, that when we develop a symptom in the body, something's wrong with our body. Because then we just focus on the symptoms. Like we gotta fix the body, and there's nothing wrong with the body. God's already designed it so miraculously. Like if you try to think about the complexity of how a cut heals itself, like all the decisions, let's say, being made at a cellular level, all the
Yeah.
miraculous, magical things happening where like new cells are being created and built and put into place where they're supposed to be, and like damaged materials being taken away. That's all happening automatically by the design itself of the human body. And there's pain, and that's part of the design. We need to feel pain because we got to protect that spot. Like you don't want to be cutting it again or like bumping it into things because then it interferes with the repair process. So we have pain to alert us to let us know something's going on. We have inflammation because that's necessary for different physiological reasons, etc. Like the body is totally doing what it has to do. But most of humanity has been led down this belief system of we gotta fix the body. We gotta fix the body. Why is the body not working on a physical level? So that bursts the traditional alternative.
Mm.
But the deep root cause is almost all, not to say that there isn't physical causes to symptoms, but the vast majority of the time, our symptoms are connected to something deeper. Free will, that's a spiritual thing. Free will. It's not even emotional. But anger is one of the emotions that is very common with cancer. That's one of the causes of cancer is anger.
Hmm.
So we have to understand anger. What causes anger? What are all the different nuances of anger? When is anger healthy? When is it not healthy? And how often does anger show up in committed relationships?
For sure.
Like, I mean, but we're not even prepared for this. We don't even get talked about with this. We go to school and we don't focus on anything spiritual, really, I don't think, and we don't focus on anything emotional. We don't focus on the human soul. We don't focus on anything, things like free will, like I mentioned.
Hmm.
And we don't even really focus on the physical body. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a head full of facts and information, and then we go out into the world of relationships. Then we start having sex, we start having kids, we get married, we do all these things, and then we run into the emotional and spiritual challenges of human life,
Hmm.
totally unequipped. And not only are we not equipped, but we've also been programmed to approach challenges in a way that will definitely destroy us. Honest to God.
Mm.
Like we're programmed to try to honestly manipulate people in all kinds of ways to get what we want. We're programmed to be deceptive. We're programmed to cut corners. We're programmed to, man, there's a lot. There's a lot of really unhealthy things happening.
Yeah.
Um,
There's
and it's
such a
generational.
deep heavy emotions too. Like when you think about whatever spiritual element that you may or may not have learned in school would probably be towards religion. And what I find is associated more towards religion is more feelings of guilt and shame
Absolutely.
for doing the wrong thing. Not so much like, how to recognize certain feelings and emotions and what they mean, and how to maybe, a common word is like regulate them. But I mean, back in the day, we just acknowledge that it's okay to feel sadness or worry or guilt or shame, and then how to move yourself out of that into like you said, freedom or happiness, elation, just anything that would be moving the needle more towards a positive frame of mind. The other thing too, Paul, is like you kind of, I don't know what it's like in Canada or wherever you grew up, but in Australia, we have like if you ask for someone, how's your day? They say pretty good, not bad, no worries. Like we've got this sort of not many people are going to tell you that there's something wrong in their life, like, and I'm very guilty of this, of like, I'm just going to tell you that, there's green grass. I'm going to ignore all the weeds. I'm going to tell you that, life's great, man. You know what? Because you speak into your existence, like it's all of that positive mantra of like, the world's great. So it's like I'm alive and I feel great, and I'm just gonna, I don't know, uh, repeat affirmations until I fucking feel the better about my life. But if I'm talking to you, I'm not going to tell you my world's crumbling. I'm going to tell you that everything's great, and just squash and repress and push down any feelings. I'm not really going to talk about it in terms of maybe I feel vulnerable to express myself in a way that makes me feel weak as a man, for example, or those sorts of things. I don't want to. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed, to tell my friends that I'm failing, or I'm, don't want to admit that I've been a bad father or a bad husband or whatever it is. Like, you follow me? It's just we're kind of really
Uh,
conditioned to not express in a way that is even conducive to admitting that your life, is not as perfect as what you say it is on Facebook.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, and the life that people share on Facebook or social media is usually all the best pictures, the best angles,
Oh,
the
that's
best
real.
lighting, the best
That's real.
stories. And then I think that can be really detrimental too, to like expose yourself to other people's lives, but only seeing the best of the best.
Hmm.
It could be harmful, I think.
It could be harmful
But
both ways. I mean, you've everyone's met misery guts that just tells you that everything's wrong and the world's going to shit itself, and every person is the worst. You know what I mean? Like you've got these energy vampires that are around there just sucking the life out of you. So there is extremes on both sides.
hmm
If you
yeah.
don't mind segueing a little bit, like in terms of your evolution, you said the things that you're realizing now about cancer are dramatically different to what they were a year or 2 or 5 years ago, or 3 years ago when we last spoke. Is your definitions and meanings around what cancer is, has that changed? I know for me personally, I'm starting to be exposed to things that are making me think outside the square in terms of what disease actually is and how it manifests in the body in terms of a tumor or a lump or some sort of a disease, and we're obviously talking about cancer. What's your, have you been shifted in a way that things have started to maybe you look at things differently?
Yeah, I used to think, for example, that cancer was the way that the human body was figuring out how to survive on a physical level. And in some ways that's still true because the body is adapting and it's like really good at dealing with the fact that there's a tumor and we can survive a long time with a tumor. Sometimes not, but usually a long time. But now it's switched and now I realize. And it's not because I developed a new theory, it's just because of what I observed over and over and over again. And then it kind of like broke down my prior beliefs and kind of just showed me this is actually what's happening. Um, so now I think what's happening is that the body is being harmed by deeper things related to stress, psycho-emotional stress, and spiritual factors. And that basically, when we experience psychological or emotional stress and something that's not good for our soul, that carries over and has an effect on our physical body because our physical body is actually connected to our soul and our emotions. They're not disconnected. You've probably heard of the concept of the mind-body connection, but what I think now more so is that it's more important to understand the emotion-body connection because our emotions are an energy that's much more alive than our mind. Like, for example, I could think that I love my job, but on a feeling level, it might not be true. And the feelings trump our thoughts. Now, I could say 1,000 times I love my job, and then finally, at some point, maybe it doesn't take 1,000, but my feeling changes.
Hmm.
But then guess what? When I go into my job the next day, my soul knows the truth of whether or not that job is actually good for me or not on a soul level. So the feeling of not liking it will just be there again. So the mind body, so I've switched to emotion body connection. And now I realize that the emotions really do harm the physical body. Like you can only be in a state of unhappiness for so long before it actually starts to have a detriment on the physical cells of the body, or in a state of shame or guilt or grief or anger, etc. We're meant we thrive off of happiness. We thrive off of freedom. We thrive off of love. We thrive off fulfillment. We don't thrive off that other stuff. All those other emotions are part of what comes when our fight or flight response is triggered. So we can't live life in a fight or flight response, but most of humanity does. Like most human beings, we are in survival mode almost all the time. And we get really good at it, like really good at it, good at coping. And if you really once you really start to understand the depth of this stuff, it's like, wow, humanity really is in trouble. Like, um, heart disease, cancer, and stroke, I think the three most common forms of disease from a death by disease. And they're all the same. It's all the same cause. It's all stuck energy. If you have a tumor, it's stuck energy right there. It's related to emotions. If you have a heart attack or a heart problem, it's stuck energy in the heart. And if you have a stroke, it's stuck energy in the mind. It's all just the same thing. But the only difference is the heart, and the reason I'm saying this is because if you just consider those three diseases, almost every single human being is dying of them. Like cancer is one in two people, roughly.
Yeah.
Heart disease is something like one in two. So just together, that's everybody,
Everyone.
then throw in like stroke. So something really deep is actually going on in humanity, and it's almost not looked at all. We're
Mm.
just like up here on the surface, like, oh, this vitamin will save you. Do you really think if you take vitamin D, it's gonna make solve the problem at work? If that's the problem. And there's all kinds of different problems. So, but I think I went on a tangent there, and I forget if I answered your question or
That's all right.
um
So just an extension of that, like, is there anything else about about cancer as itself has
ah
changed in terms of your perception of how it is? I mean, I'll give you an example of something that has come my way, and I don't know if it's true or not, but there's been a lot of talk about like what I love talking about with you is that we're talking about something that's happening on an unconscious level and in an emotional aspect of our lives. It's triggered by some type of event and it's been unresolved for many years, sometimes decades, and we're relating that to the disease called cancer. But one of the things that has come in the last 5 years in particular, because like I said, this quickening of like, evolving around health and around lifestyle and around, who's controlling who and how we can kind of get, you mentioned freedom a couple of times, like, what is freedom? Like we see if you're on the same path as what we are, I think you're realizing that there's an entrapment, there's a slave type system that's been created and it's been polished to the degree that we think it's actually freedom, but it's really not. We're
Yeah.
sort of like delusion of what life is really meant to be. So that's kind of frightening, but also enlightening at the same time. So how you navigate that is one thing, but I digress. Cancer is like when I look into fungus, when I look into parasites, when I look into how your body's, collecting certain shit, garbage, that's in your system and it packages it in a way and stores it to for your body to get rid of, So that's my kind of newfound knowledge about cancer. And when you think about biopsies and how they cut it open and they do a test and things like that, and then all of a sudden the cancer spreads. But now we're talking about emotions. I mean, if you talk about repressed emotions, you talk about lack of freedom, choices. Well, fuck, Paul, that's the last 5 years. Everyone's
Yeah.
freedom and choices was squashed. So I
Uh-huh.
know we can talk about SV40 and about the jab and about all these things that have caused people to accelerate because they're cancers because their body's not fighting the same way that it used to. But if you want to talk about all the emotions that are triggering cancer, well, fuck, we got dealt with all of those in
That's why there's turbo
droves. Like,
cancers.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's the real cause of turbo cancers. I'm
you
so
think?
confident about that.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, the amount of stress that people went through, the amount of relationship challenges, the guilt. I shared this the other day with someone. Many people took the jab and then felt guilty for taking it
Sure.
and carried that guilt because we don't know how to heal. Like guilt, most people don't know how. We're not even taught. And like there's so much about spirituality. I don't even think spirituality is even understood in humanity at large today. I want to give a definition of spirituality, by the way. Would
Sure.
love to give that I've come to believe actually has value. But many people didn't take the jab and then felt guilty too.
Mm,
Because our society's damaged in a very deep way. One main part of that is we're not connected to. Like we actually need connection. So connection would be, um, how do you feel about getting the jab? Now I'm connecting to your soul, right? Like if it's a real question, it's oftentimes not even a real question. It's just like, how do you feel about getting the jab? Is that
yeah.
a question? No.
Mm,
It's pressure. It's already coming with judgment, right? But this all begins way back in our childhood. This is society is full of judgment and fear and pressure and control and a lack of connection. So like we make all kinds of decisions that is are not even based on connecting to our own soul and all kinds of decisions are being made and actions and behaviors and things that are completely out of alignment with love and truth. And they lead to stress and emotional pain. And then, because we didn't have the tools to prevent that from happening to begin with, because that's just how we were taught and how we're programmed and indoctrinated, then we don't fix it either. And then it turns into disease.
yeah.
So, like, what I've really come to believe is that a lot of humanity thinks that they're taking action to prevent cancer, but you can't actually prevent cancer if you don't even know what causes it. How can you prevent it if you don't know what causes it? So, what does humanity think? Well, there's all kinds of beliefs. I've been collecting a list of sometimes just ridiculous stuff. Like, um, sometimes people think that cancer is caused by. I used to think, here's an example. I used to think this way back in my younger years of holistic health that wearing a tight bra can cause breast cancer. Then there's uh, what other what other things? Endless stuff. I heard recently that giving oral sex can cause cancer of the mouth or the throat.
Yeah, right.
You like, uh, so then there's the genetic theory, and like if you have the BRCA gene, that's the cause of breast cancer. Like that's the cause. Too bad you got the gene. It's your parents' fault,
Yeah.
right? They gave, but you know how many clients I've had that have breast cancer, and they say to me, Paul, I don't understand. I don't have the BRCA gene.
Mm,
We did thorough testing, and the BRCA gene's not there.
yeah.
And I'm like, that's because it's not the cause.
Mm,
But then, of course, when people do have when have breast cancer, and they have the BRCA gene. Now they're convinced that's the cause. It's not the cause.
yeah.
Um,
And
so,
they will test for the gene and then remove their breasts to try and prevent anything from happening.
uh, good example.
Crazy.
Devastating example. Thinking that that's actually going to prevent cancer
That's the
when it
solution.
has nothing to do with the cause at all.
Mm,
So once we really understand cancer, which I think is slowly, organically, just as humanity is ready, because it's very challenging. It's so challenging to actually accept what really causes cancer for
mm,
so many reasons, investments in money, um, our identity built around certain parts of like business models and stuff. We gotta just like, in order to confront the real cause of cancer, it could change our world and create heaven, I think, on the planet if it actually happens. Right now, I'd say we're closer to hell on the planet, not heaven. I mean, and if you look at the world events that are happening, the floods and all this stuff, these are signs that humanity is not moving in the right direction. The disease is the first sign, but once we start getting to the point where there's events happening too, that's a big problem.
mm.
Um, but yeah, we can create heaven on earth. But what we need to do then is we have to start actually preventing cancer. Actually. And to actually prevent it, we have to start understanding uh, how we have to change our whole entire approach to childhood rearing, how to raise a child. The school system goes right out the window. Like the whole concept of school, garbage. It's so damaging when children are forced to learn crap. It's unbelievable. That's one of the most damaging things to the human soul because we just like what society does is we somehow we're trained. I only woke up to this in the last couple of years
Mm.
to think that how you treat a child is okay. It can be different from how you treat an adult. So, like, Adrian, if you and I had a big challenge and I was upset at you, you would probably be pretty resistant to thinking it's okay for me to strip your clothes down and start hitting you on your ass. Isn't it just a little bit ridiculous to even it's like uncomfortable for me to even say it.
Yeah, sure.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
Mm.
But it's okay in society to do that to children.
Yeah, that's right.
You can tell a child, for example, that like they have to go clean their room now, or you will harm them physically, or you will control them and damage them emotionally in some kind of way if they don't do it. But like children are not allowed to tell their parents that they have to go clean the car, or they have to go clean their room, or they have to go clean, whatever, the basement.
Hmm.
There's so much control. Like we really have to, humanity needs to learn how to heal, even identify and understand the amount of beliefs and behaviors and ways of relating to each other that are completely out of alignment with love. And those ways of treating each other lead to shaming. Like so if you spank a child, it causes a deep trauma in them related
Yeah.
to shame and fear. We need to like learn what control really is. We need to really learn what gaslighting is. And we have to want to do it. Most people don't want to do it. It's uncomfortable. Like you were saying in the beginning, like if we realize there's something inside of our own behavior that really isn't appropriate, it doesn't feel good. It's hard. It's hard to just look at that and realize like shit, like it's hard to own that.
Mm.
So what most of humanity does is never really grows. Like just doesn't actually grow spiritually. So I was saying earlier, I wanted to give a definition of spirituality, and here's what I think it really is. After 17 years now in the root cause work, this is what I think it is. And this is just one component of it, but it's like one of the main components, but it is the choice, the decision, the desire to want to reflect and look at ourself every time we attract a challenge into our life.
Are you over 40, successful but unfulfilled? Do you feel stuck, like you're not truly living up to who you really are? So many high achievers wake up and think, I'm a good person, I read all the books, I listen to all the podcasts, yet there's something missing. Well, you're not alone. I've been there myself quite a few times. And quite frankly, it took a lot of years of really fucking around, trying to figure out what I now call your higher self blueprint, which has enabled me to live a life and make a living with my passions and my purpose. If you're ready to break free from a life that's holding you back, I'm hosting a free training around the 5 pillars of success that will enable you to create a more meaningful, fulfilling, and purposeful life. So click the link in the show notes, and I look forward to seeing you in the training. But for now, let's get back to the podcast.
That's
So it's the deci
a bitter pill to swallow.
yeah, it's the decision to look in and then and with love too, not a guilt trip, not a shaming thing, not a punishment to ourselves or something. It's not about perfection either. It's just a loving intention to heal what might be damaged inside of us and to grow and evolve parts of ourselves that are in alignment with love. So, like, if in our childhood we weren't loved in certain ways, we won't have that inside of us today as an adult. It's not going to be there. Instead, we're going to have some kind of a coping strategy that we formed in response to not being loved in certain ways. And so, like, for example, if you go to school, you don't want to go to school, but your parents say you have to go to school. This is what we're all indoctrinated into this pretty much. It's starting to become a thing now to not school children, like zero. I just met a woman last night at a party, a good gathering, and lots of kids and families and stuff. It was an awesome gathering. And the one woman there, she doesn't school her children, zero. It's not that she homeschools them. There's no
That's cool.
schooling.
Yeah, wow.
No schooling.
Full on.
And and all of her children, she has 3 of them, not one of them have ever pooped or peed their pants. Ever.
Hmm.
Now, our society is so indoctrinated that it's normal to and expected, and this is just like what you do. You put a diaper onto a child and you teach them to poop and pee themselves on a
Yeah.
regular basis. But if you wake up and start questioning right from the moment that a child is conceived, if you're practicing spirituality, reflecting and taking responsibility to like figure this out yourself kind of thing with a devotion to love, and you're courageous enough to do things differently like this woman was, then you'll start connecting to your instincts, to the human soul, to our emotions, and they actually guide us down the correct course of action. But society's trained to make all decisions from our head.
Mhm.
That's the home of the indoctrination, right? Like this is right, this is wrong, this is what you should do. But yeah, it was amazing. What she noticed is because she was so connected to her kids is that whenever they would eat or breastfeed, they typically then have a bowel movement afterwards or pee.
Mhm.
It was a pattern. It's like that's generally when they do it. So what she did is after they would eat or breastfeed, she would take them to the toilet, hold them over the toilet, and they would end up going without understanding what she's doing. And then quickly, very quickly, they caught on like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm supposed to poop and pee here. And then they just start doing it at a super young age. She never used diapers. They never peed or pooped their pants, never peed the bed.
Wow.
It's incredible. And like I call this spirituality is to we have to really start like what I'm saying is humanity's focused on trying to prevent cancer based on physical stuff that really doesn't matter that much. What we need to focus on is childhood upbringing, what you were saying, freedom, But freedom with responsibility too. Like we really have to learn how to become a loving human being. There's so much deception going on. Like I've been traveling a lot. I've went to a lot of different places since 2020, and I'll walk into a place. First of all, I've discovered incredible integrity-based businesses that only use organic food. Um, their service is fantastic. The place is clean. They really want their customers happy. It's meaningful. They're not just about the money, and they're still also successful. But I've also come to businesses where there's a lot of deception. For example, um, natural fruit smoothie and the place is called organic whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, what would you like? I'll have like the banana mango smoothie. Cool. And then when I taste it, there's refined sugar in it.
Mm.
And I'm like, what's in this smoothie? I thought it was banana and mango. Like I look up on the list, it says banana, mango. It's called a banana mango smoothie. I was
Mm.
like, oh well, we put a few teaspoons of refined sugar in there.
Yeah.
That's deception.
Yeah.
And people do, and so what I'm saying is that just little things like that. There's way bigger things, but
Mm.
all that stuff is actually what causes stress. It causes stress. Like um, I really feel like not school, but upbringings, there should be some kind of a system of spirituality that teaches children about morals and about integrity and how to connect to others and have like t teach children what patience is and like start preparing children to become an adult that you would want to have a relationship with. Like
Mm.
that you'd be safe having a relationship, you know? In 2020, people got death threats. People got ultimatums. People were, man, there's so much stress. And that's the turbo cancers. It really is. But there's a zillion theories out there, all this physical stuff. There's this poison and that poison and all this stuff.
I think it's a
Um,
compounding too. Like, just to like touch on or expand upon the upbringing. Like, I agree with you. It'd be nice in an ideal world to have a system that creates awareness around your emotions and spirituality and what it means to be an integral person and all that kind of stuff. The challenge is that if you go home to mum and dad who have got their own versions of fucked up and they're expressing that upon you, I mean, that's a hard thing. When you talk about freedom in society to freedom speech, like at the moment it's almost ridiculous the amount of freedom that we're fighting for, right? We want to freedom to move, freedom to say the things that we want. Like these are very, very basic freedoms, but here we are wrestling with whether that is something that we've been granted by the human farmers and overlords that are, deciding that they want to rule the world, right? So
uh-huh.
the challenge is like everything you're saying is absolutely correct, but then you have to walk into this world which is designed to keep you fat, sick, and stupid, like and scared and worried and frightened. I mean, like you said, we've got the floods, we've got wars, like right as we speak, Paul. Like we are in the midst of genocide, right? Like it's, there, and then there's great floods, and then there's fires, and then in our country, and I'm sure a lot of others, digital ID and digital currency and carbon footprints and fucking 15-minute cities. I mean, the world's stressful, so it still doesn't eliminate that you have a responsibility whether you started like I was a very young dad and I wanted that for myself, but I mean, my I guess trajectory through life is, bro, I just got thrown into things that I thought I was well equipped to deal with, and then all of a sudden, like you know yourself, you get married and then your paradigm of the world changes, and then you finally figure out over a period of time, like what triggers are. Like, we call them triggers now, but at the
Mm.
time, you're just like, fuck, she pisses me off, like I don't know what I walked into here. It was fine at the beginning and now it's not. And obviously that goes both ways, right? If you ever want to
Mhm.
be triggered in your life, just have kids, right? If you
Yeah. Yeah.
if you ever, if you ever want to find out what your absolute flaws and you want to expose yourself to the worst version of your, human existence, fucking have children. Like that will bring out the best and the absolute worst of like who you are, as a person.
Hmm.
2020 and that period, and we discussed this last time. Fuck, man, I have never experienced the shift in people's demeanor, how they treated people, the separation, the that whole, you're this type of person and I'm that, and if you weren't like this, and that whole, crowd fear mongering, group think, that's like pushing you in one direction and next, and ostracizing you for the
Hmm.
decisions that you're making. And like you said, the death threats, like I got them. I hope you die. I hope you go to the hospital and they don't treat you and your kids get it. Like,
Wow.
people
Yeah.
wishing works on me. I'm just like, fuck. All I did was tell them that I don't want my business to be shut down. I don't want to take something that I, don't agree with my body. Like, just let me fucking work and earn some money. Like, just very basic things. I've got bills and three kids, and like, this is not too much to ask in society, is that okay, Paul? And then they're like, no, you're going to kill my grandma. If it wasn't for people like you, then, we wouldn't be in this mess. And that's why we're locked down. It's because you're so irresponsible. It's just, mate, I don't know if I'll ever
Lame.
experience it again in my lifetime, but
Hmm.
that was wild. It's still a wild time.
Yeah.
I think I still got fucking PTSD from it, to be honest with you. Like, I'm getting better, but, you know,
Yeah, and I
wild
think
time.
that if some other event comes, then people are gonna have way less patience for it too. It'll be more intense,
I hope so, on the
like more
side
triggering.
like tolerance and things like that. But I think it's like that Maslow's dog sort of, stimulus and response type of thing. I think you could definitely send the world into a spin by ringing a bell, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden,
Hmm.
people are going to be in true disarray.
Uh-huh. I think a big problem too is that when we get into this really intense stuff, our discussion, I think I ended up talking about really intense things, but it's gotten heavy, but I don't know, I guess it's supposed to be that way today. Um, I think what happens is what's common is that when we're faced with these intense challenges, then there's this natural inclination, perhaps, to look to something higher or to start questioning something higher, like why does God allow this? What the hell's going on? Like,
Sure.
and then there's massive confusion, I think, about God, because then we have all these different religions and all these beliefs about how God is a judging God and God punishes people. A really super damaging belief that I come across with the root cause of cancer is that, and this is really common, people think that God kills people.
Mm,
So they'll say things like, well, I have cancer. I guess God has decided it's my time.
mm,
Really? That's that's a scary God. Like it could just be you or me any day now, Adrian. Like God could just be like, Adrian, it's time for you to suffer. You're gonna waste away and experience the worst pain you've ever had in your life and, die because I'm deciding. That's not God. God is love. Love is not something that kills a person.
mm.
And God doesn't take your free will away and decide you no longer have the freedom to be alive as a human being. I'm deciding. There's so much confusion about God, and
Totally.
there's confusion about faith, for example. Uh, there's a big component of what I do is spiritual. Like my whole level two training is almost entirely about God and really understanding. Because how we look at God determines so much. Like I gave one example. If we think that God will kill us and has decided, yeah, I'm giving you cancer and I've decided you're going to die, then of course we're not going to take responsibility for ourselves. Like, because obviously we don't have any power. All the power is in the hands of God, right? Like he's deciding. That's a problem. Because now that stops us from growing spiritually and actually growing towards God, getting closer to God. Because the healthier and happier and more fulfilled we are, and more free we are, and more in alignment with morals and integrity, that's how we get closer to God. We don't get closer to God by dying. So it's really backwards. There's so much backward stuff. And with the pandemic, faith just went out the window. It wasn't even being practiced to begin with. A lot of people think that faith means you go to church. Like if you go to church every Sunday, that means you're practicing faith. You have faith in God.
Mm,
But that's not what I think is happening. I teach something totally different. Faith is, oh my God, there's apparently a virus out there that could kill me and is maybe killing people. So, dear God, I'm going to walk the path of love and truth and integrity and morality. And I'm going to continue, and I'm going to be a steward of humanity by providing something that's good for others if I can. And I'm going to have faith that I'll be okay because of that.
mm,
Most people didn't do that. Most people were like, oh my God, I have no faith actually in God. I'm going to go get 5 booster shots and a vaccine, and I'm going to death threat my neighbor and blame them if they don't do the same thing. So there's so much like justification for actions and behavior that is not loving, like blaming people, punishing people, manipulating people, um, shaming people.
yeah.
And none of that is love, but we as human beings like to convince ourselves that it's justified. And one of the reasons is because we have this other stupid belief system that God will send people to hell, that God created hell for people that don't listen to him. And so if you don't listen to God, you're going to go there.
Mm,
So you see, with that kind of that's not love either. God doesn't do that. That's why parents think it's okay to beat their children if they make do something wrong. But we're led down. There's this saying, the devil hides in the church. Have you heard that?
I have.
So I think the way out of these big, huge, big problems, they can be so complicated, like the chemtrails, the like the elite and all that, and the one world government, and oh my God, like the world, the natural events and stuff. I feel like the way out is spiritual,
Agreed.
and that's what I practice. And I tell people all the time, I don't see chemtrails. I barely see chemtrails. I go all over the place. They're just never there.
Hmm.
And I believe that like everything, I've been doing this for years. I did this with the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, I asked myself, I did what I shared with you is what I believe spirituality. I said, why have I personally attracted this pandemic? This is what I teach people with cancer, right? Why did you attract a tumor in your body? Like if you don't practice spirituality, it's gonna be a rough go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real, right? So I asked why I attracted that event. And I meditated on it. I sincerely asked that question. And then I really took responsibility for the pandemic in my world, in my creation. And what I realized was that for 2 years I had been sacrificing my freedom to try to hold on to my home in Canada. I didn't want to lose it. I wanted to stay there. I was so invested in it. And I was working morning till night based on survival, based on fear, not based on faith. I was turning down all kinds of freedom-based things like opportunities to go with friends to do this or that. I wasn't going to the gym anymore. I didn't have energy for that. I was sacrificing myself so much and working all day long to try to hold on to this home, and I was giving my freedom away. So then I attracted something that was that nature, but even bigger. And because to me, so it's a personal thing, I asked myself, what is this pandemic energetically, like spiritually? And for me, the answer was, well, this force has come and it's saying, hey, Paul, if you sacrifice your freedom, you'll be safe. You'll be kept safe. You'll be okay.
Hmm.
And I was like, that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. Trying to hold on to this house. It makes me feel safe and everything's under my control as long as I have this house. So what I did is I sold my house. And after I sold my house, lockdown stopped. And I was wanting to go to Switzerland, and the whole world was shut down. I just booked a flight to Switzerland, and other countries remained shut down, but not Switzerland. It opened. So it's like I was allowed to go there.
Mhm.
And I swear that this is how the world is actually built. It is built on spiritual principles that humanity just denies, avoids. The devil gets involved and creates confusion and tries to redefine God and how to relate to God and what faith is and all kinds of stuff. And so what we have is people are lost, man. And that's why we have cancer. And the I think the cancer societies are happy to allow humanity to just keep thinking that there's all kinds of causes to cancer.
Yeah.
Tons and tons and tons of causes.
Well, there's many
I went,
motivations for that too, though, Paul. Like,
yeah, confusion, right? As long as you're confused and you think that there's like 100 different causes of cancer, then number one, you'll be like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about this. This is overwhelming.
sure.
Yeah,
And there's billions of dollars involved. So, I mean, yeah, it's quite a good incentive to keep that lie going, right?
massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they want people to think, honestly, is that they want people to think that there's a cure. They're happy if people think that there's a cure that's just being hidden.
Mm,
And what I'm saying, if you think back to what I was saying in the beginning, is there can never be a cure. Never. It's impossible. How can you have a cure for cutting your arm? You have to stop cutting your arm. We don't need a cure for the human body. The human body already knows how to heal. We have to stop causing the problem.
yeah.
That's the root of it. But that's where spirituality, as I defined it, comes in and personal responsibility with love, not guilt trips and blame. There's a lot of generational trauma at play here. There's all kinds of stuff happening, man. And
Mm,
it's really a big deal. Um, but it's pretty serious stuff. Like it's also rewarding. So the other thing I want to say is here to put a positive spin on this,
yeah.
which is very real. I mentioned that I think it's possible to have heaven on earth. And I think first
Absolutely.
of all, it's possible to have it in our own creative bubble. So, like you can be very abundant in many ways and happy and healthy and fulfilled and free. And but that doesn't mean everyone else will be. But I really believe that God's laws, spiritual laws, deep topic, makes that possible for us all. But
Agreed.
it's all based on free will. It's all based on free will.
It is, and I
Um,
think what I like about what you're saying is my interpretation of when you explain spirituality, you link it to God and the interpretation of what God is, and a lot of it is not abdicating your responsibility to something outside of yourself, and you're not saying you are God, you're saying that
no,
there's a God like you're a fractal of creation, and if creation is earth and all the things that God made, like you were explaining at the beginning of the conversation, well then, like we're a part of that. I had a similar conversation with my son just the other day. It was a very enlightening conversation because we were talking about that, about devoting yourself to God and having the opinion that God is outside of you. And whilst, I'm talking to a 13-year-old child, is I kind of said, well, if you were to honor God in that respect, then, how would you treat your body? Like, how would you treat others? If you were to be disrespectful to God, then and dishonoring to God, then how would that relate in terms of your own actions? So I was trying to explain that if you were acting like you were honoring and respecting God's wishes, which is the body that He gave you to the vehicle to move through life, well, then you would be fueling your mind with positive things and you would be loving towards yourself and others and you would treat your body by putting good fuel into it and not putting shit and abusing it and all those sorts of things, right? So
mhm.
a lot of what you speak to is taking personal responsibility like you did in the pandemic as to what this means to me and how can I use this situation to live my life more congruently in the manner that I'm supposed to. It's a very deep, esoteric and mystical experience on a large basis, but that
Hmm.
self-reflection is what uncovers the truth, right? And the root cause to
Right. Yeah. And
your problems. So if you
and
figure out that, hey, look, there's a part of me that can wallow in all of this mess and try and figure out and become a victim and feel sorry for myself, or there's a part of me that can find the solution to it and I can solve it within myself as well. Well, then what you're saying is, on a biblical sense, or to use God as the example, is like you can create your hell or you can create your heaven, all right? And they both reside in the same place. The pandemic is a great example. Like I know people that fucking love the pandemic, Paul, right? They were so happy that they got locked down and they could work from home and their experience was bliss. Their business boomed, right? Whereas I died a death of a thousand cuts. So, we lived in the same reality, yet mine was hell and theirs was heaven. So it's just that reality resides in your own mind. But maybe we can segue like to put a positive spin on things because the people will be listening to this thinking, like I came here for various reasons and perhaps they're dealing with cancer. And the last time I spoke to you, I've got a dear friend of mine who is, she's in a bad way with cancer, and it's something that she's been dealing with for the last 5 years. And a lot of the solutions that they've tried, you could argue just have worked, but temporarily, like it's sort of formed in one place and then disappeared and then risen somewhere else, So a large part of what you've spoken to so far is like, look, I can take this pill or this potion or this thing and it can kill the cancer that's inside my body. But if I'm not dealing with things, then that's just going to grow back, right?
mhm.
Because I'm not really working with the root cause. I'm not really working with the thing that's making the cancer. Am I on the right track?
Absolute. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we
Yeah.
can talk to those things and maybe come up with some sort of solutions based. I mean, I know like you've got a whole training and books and you've got everything. And so if people want to find out more about you, they can go and just work with you. But if someone's listening to this and they're like, well, fuck, just tell me what to do. Like, what are the things that I can do to peel back the layers to get me to a point where at least I've got a baseline to work with. I've got a foundation that is helping me live a life that is conducive to happier, more harmonious life, which helps my body do the thing that it's designed to do, which is to uh, you know, fight disease and cure cancer. And well, you said there's not a cure, but you know what I mean? It has its own ability. How do I increase my body's potential and its ability to cure cancer?
Mm. You know what? Honestly, you don't even have to do that. You don't have to focus on even increasing its potential. It's all there.
Sure. Well,
Seriously.
revealing it, like, if we get back to his belief systems, if I believe that the answer is out there, like, that's the problem, like
That's a big
what
problem.
does
Yep.
Stephen Covey says, I think he says, if you think the problem is out there, that very thought is the problem, like you're always chasing something that's out
Hmm.
externally.
Yeah. Well, man. Yeah, there's everything that I can say about this is usually I can only really do it justice if I talk for like a half an hour of each thing because it's all so deep. Like
Sure.
it's not so simple. But yeah, and I also don't want people to think that I could share something right now and that would be enough for them. Although it could be. It could be. So let me see. You have to, in order to heal, you have to do a lot of things backwards from what most of society thinks you should do. So, for example, um, a lot of times when people develop cancer, not always, but a lot often, more and more and more people, as time goes on, starts to surround them. They have more and more people around them. And to heal, you have to have less. You actually have to become alone inside. That's part of healing. Uh, many people, for example, if they don't have people around them, they feel lonely. And then, but we need to reach a point where we feel at least comfortable and good to be alone. Now, the thing is, that's hard to do if you have cancer because the natural thing is like, I need comfort. I want support. I want people around me. I want to be loved. I want to be, but what we need is our own love. Like, love that comes from within. So it's like I said, it's hard to do that justice in a short conversation here, but um, become devoted to the process that will then unfold if you really sincerely want it. Become devoted to the process of um, becoming more alone inside with love inside yourself, not through positive thinking, not through positive thinking, through feeling. So, for example, if you're to go be alone, spend the day alone, you have cancer, what do you think a person's going to feel? Like, I mean, might be pretty uncomfortable.
Mm.
But if you feel, we have to feel to heal. What we usually do is don't go be alone, so therefore we won't feel, and then we can just remain occupied with all this other stuff. Like get real busy too with protocols, detoxifications, all this stuff, and that'll go on and on and on and on. And like many of my clients that come to me, they've spent like 50 to $150,000. That's usually the average on all kinds of stuff trying to fix the body. And what I'm saying is you have to feel to heal. So stop all that stuff. Go spend 5 hours by yourself and see what happens when you're alone. It'll get uncomfortable, but then practice love. No, so then we have to talk about what is love. I gave one example, connect to God, but then you have to understand what God is. Oh my God. So one way to connect to God is to go connect to God's creation. Like I said, God created the rivers, the trees, the mountains, the forests, the stars at night. Go connect to God's creation. Honest to God, that's more valuable than vitamin C protocol. Because when you're connecting to God's creation, it's beautiful. It's nourishing to the soul by its very design. It becomes miraculous. If you ever take a moment to just look at like the sparkles, the glimmers on a lake, on the water, and really connect to that, not other people, just God's creation. Something starts to come into you from God, and it's nourishing, and it's beauty, it's magic, it's mystery. It's like how can there be this many? Like if you think about the leaves on a tree, if you just stop and really be with a tree, I'm not saying this is going to make the cancer go away. This is just the foundation of it, though, is to love yourself and be able to be alone. But you got to work through all the emotions and everything that comes. That's why I teach like my 15 step process. And there's things to know, but become devoted to that process. And then you will begin the journey of healing from within. That's the only way you can heal. It's to heal from within. So when you're going outside yourself to supplements and all these different protocols and all these things and trying to fix the body, it's missing it's just falling into that old paradigm. I want to call it the old paradigm. It still is partially, it's kind of like the main paradigm still.
Mm.
But the new paradigm based on the actual root cause is something is causing that cancer, and it is deeper. It's emotional, it's spiritual, and you have to want to confront that thing and have courage, man. Courage to confront the shadow, courage to with love, with forgiveness. Sometimes forgiveness is part of what's needed. Learning life lessons. You got to go through a transformation. And it's not a simple thing, but it works. It's not based on a belief. I was talking to a client the other day, and it's like, well, if I just believe that my cancer will heal, but there's some value in that, but you have to take the appropriate actions for it to heal. That's what's really needed. If you don't take the appropriate actions, you can believe all you want that you heal. It's not going to happen. Belief is not that powerful. It's not. Like I know that in spiritual communities and Joe Dispenza kind of stuff, there's a lot of emphasis put on belief. There is power in it. There really is. But what I want to point out is the following. Many times people believe wholeheartedly that if they just do what their doctor tells them to do, everything's going to be okay. Many times people believe, oh, I can heal with the alternative. Doesn't work. So the belief isn't that powerful, is it? So, like with the root cause, when you actually do that work, you come to understand what's really going on. You don't even, the only reason you have to believe in it is because if you don't believe in it, you won't do it.
Sure.
That's it. It's not that it doesn't work. It's like if I cut my arm and I protect that spot now, I put a bandage on it, let's say I don't cut it again, it's gonna heal. I don't even have to believe that it's gonna heal. I could even believe it won't heal. But God's already decided that that's not how it works. God's got things covered, man. But humanity doesn't want to follow the principles of love, of God. Like God's already decided. I like my new understanding of God, which I really strongly believe, and I'm still learning. I don't mean I've figured it all out, but I've my perception of God is so radically different now. That's one of the big things that has changed for me in this root cause work in the last few years, my perception of God. But what I'm kind of grateful for is that God has already decided what love is. And now I could have an idea of what love is, and you could have an idea, and they could be different. What matters is that they're in alignment with God. It's like human beings want to kind of like what most of our problems come from are power problems. So like your friend with cancer, the reason they have cancer is because of something related to power, not love. Love does not cause cancer. Power does. So like if you look at the pandemic, that was a big power struggle. That's what it really was. And when things are about power, then there's boundaries get crossed. But you see, the school system is based on power. It's not based on love, it's based on power. It's like you're gonna go to school today. But wait, you didn't ask me if I want to. You didn't connect to my soul. I don't care about your soul. You're 5 years old and I'm in charge of you. You're just gonna go. That's power. So we start learning about power control and boundary crossing. We're raised in it. And this leads to disease. So we have to go inwards and see what's inside. And that's why I'm saying you got to spend time alone. But spending time alone without help is totally possible. I'm aware, I know someone that totally healed by themselves, just alone, no guide, no coach. So I don't want to say it's not possible. Really, you can just like, but is it realistic? I don't know.
Mm.
So I think really it's wild. Like some of my clients recently, it's been happening more and more. They're like, they reach out, they're stage 4, they're metastasized, they've tried everything, it's not working, and then they find out about me, right? And they book a session, but they're in the hospital. And they really want to do this session. They know that there's something to this, you know? They really want to do that, but they're in the hospital. So a lot of people are asking the doctors and nurses, can I have a private room to do a session? And it's like, what? Like, and it's just making me think like, wouldn't that be amazing if hospitals had private rooms to do the deeper healing work?
Mm.
To like work with a coach and work on like the stresses that have been going on in your life and your belief systems and your relationship with God and like, you know,
Yeah,
it's probably not going to happen. Like a hospital doesn't even sell healthy food.
no chance.
Like, I mean, it's
Or
like, hey,
you
can
know,
I have
can
or
you
get
imagine
some
if you
more?
went to any doctor and they said, so let's sit down, for an hour. Let's talk about what's going on in your life. Like you've been in here 2 or 3 times with whatever, an infection, a cold. It's like, Paul, what's going on, man? Is everything all right at home? What's things like with your wife, or how are your kids? Like, can we talk about things like that? Would solve a lot of fucking problems. If people could just say, um, let's resolve some of these issues that I'm going with. How cathartic it is. Like, I've got a mate of mine who's a MMA coach, and he tells me, he goes, like 30% of my sessions, we don't even fight, spar. We don't. we just chat. You know, people come in, we just these guys, they're all men, you know, most, like 99% of them are men. He goes, like, I spend fucking 45 minutes and all we've done is talk about their life and they're grateful and they pay him their money and they come back the next day. They're just like, you know, this is helping me because I just don't have this opportunity to express myself in a way that, you know, helps me go forward. You know, so yeah, man, that would be amazing. So we're like,
Yeah,
let's just fix
it's
your
so
diet, let's fix
powerful.
your mind, let's just fix your heart. Let's get things on track for you. Let's give you some
Yeah.
hope. Yeah, hope is
Yeah.
not a strategy, but you know, it goes a long fucking way to giving you a sense of optimism that, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's sometimes all we need. And I think when you talk to faith and spirituality and God and all that kind of stuff, that's the true element is putting trust in something that is like you said, you know, your body's already designed. God's already given it to you. You already have the ability. It's just like, just let it do its thing. So just
Mhm.
like stop clouding it with all of this murky water and shit that you're putting on top of it to make it too clunky and not flow properly and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I get it.
Mhm. Yeah. A super quick analogy just to make that really extra clear for people. If your house is on fire, God has designed your body to start to hurt and give signs that there's something damaging you. So, like if you get burned by the fire, it's going to hurt like hell. But the reason God made the body like that is to protect you.
Mm,
It's to make sure that you always know if you're in alignment with love and life or not. The body's designed that way. God's actually already protecting us right through the body. So if the house is on fire, then you need to understand that there's not something wrong with your body. What's wrong is there's something harming the body, and in this analogy, it's the fire. So you need to get out of the house or put that fire out.
mm. So when,
So so
if I can just
don't
wrap this
think,
up.
oh, everything's okay. Don't think everything's okay. My body's supposed to hurt right now. It's supposed to have this. Everything's okay. I'm not saying that. You
Mm,
got to put that fire out. You got to solve the fire. But there's nothing wrong with the body. But imagine if someone's house is burning down and people are like, okay, I need a doctor to come and look after my burns while they're inside the house and it's on fire. Or I need to find a supplement that's really good for helping the skin heal.
mhm.
That they're inside of a house on fire still.
Yeah,
So I hope that makes sense.
it
Because
does.
sometimes it gets confusing, you know?
But I guess like when people are working with you, they would, you're basically, I mean, you tell me, in my mind, you're helping them navigate through their body and a timeline of events and circumstances and situations that point to the fires that are in their body,
Yep.
right? And then you're
Well,
helping
in
them
their life, the
in their
fires that are in their
life.
life that are causing symptoms in the body. Yeah.
Correct. Right. And then you're helping them resolve those particular fires in their life, which then helps them release the disease that is being created.
Yep.
Because
You get out of the
ultimately, if
house,
they're
out of the
taking
fire.
first, I mean, look, I know there's a lot more to it, but ultimately, like the theme of this whole conversation is you're saying my body has this innate ability to heal itself, but at the same time, I have an innate ability to cause it harm. And
Yeah.
you're teaching people how to stop making the cancer, stop causing the harm and reopening the wound every time. And so it doesn't matter how many band-aids or you know, topical creams or anything that you put on there, but if you'll keep peeling everything off and then slicing it again, like nothing, it's just going to keep going and keep getting worse, right? So it'll never heal. And I think that
Yep.
that's probably a
Exactly.
real key component to what a lot of people are. They may say, well, like we talked about this last time, you know, like I know a very unhealthy people that would be called quote unquote successful, you know, monetarily, like, or, you know, whatever it is, like even in their marriages or with their children, it's like, man, this guy doesn't earn a lot of money, but um, you know, he's not successful financially, but you can tell that he has a really, really good life, or she has a really good life. People can treat themselves like very poorly, but still be disease free. And conversely, like you can eat all the organic fucking food you like, but if your mind and your body is not connected well, then you can be as sick all the time because that's the way that you're gearing yourself up. I had a
Hmm.
conversation just last week with Alina, and her speciality is in gut health and things like that. And we talk about gut being the second brain, but over an hour of conversation, it end up like morphing into, I don't know if your brain is even if your gut's even the second brain. It's probably the first brain. I mean, your brain in itself is almost it's your servant. It just sort of is a conduit for information, but everything else is going from the body out. Does that make sense? Like the heart and the gut and your body's giving you signs and information that you over the years have developed an intuition and an ability to read what's going on and interpret those messages. Whereas we're taught through school and society to detach from all of that. No, it's not your body, and it's not this message, it's something else. There's something else
Yeah.
outside of you. Like I think that's the paradigm shift. That's where everything starts to really turn on its head when
Hmm.
it's inverted. This whole fucking world's inverted, Paul. Like, like
Yeah.
everything that we've been taught is upside down. So I think, anyway, we could go on forever about this stuff. And I know that, we don't have forever to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm fine to continue, but yeah, if you need to quit soon, that's fine.
Yeah, no worries. Well,
Yeah,
look, how about some last thoughts in terms of, a message that I think people are starting to realize loud and clear is if they don't sort themselves out and they stop abdicating their responsibility to someone else. Like I think when you talk about God, when you talk about Trump, when you talk about the white hats, when you talk about the Q movement, like whatever the fucking thing that you want to put out there that is going to come and save you, I think we can all agree, well, most of us anyway, starting to realize that that's not the thing. The thing that is going to save you is yourself. And when you call upon yourself to act in a leadership or be a leader or become a leader of your own destiny, and then we collectively work together, I think that is probably more of the solution to the world's problems. I mean, we don't realize just how much power, we can reclaim if we were to first just sort out the mess in our own backyard before we start to try and, fix other people or more importantly, rely on someone else to solve the problems for us.
uh-huh. Yeah, um, speaking to that, I think I have a good thing. I feel good about finishing with this next comment. You
Sure.
know, how in the beginning we were talking about soap operas,
Yeah.
Days of Our Lives, and these other ones. I
Yeah.
remember those too. Um, in order to both heal ourselves of a disease like cancer or anything else, really, but also in order to become abundant. Like in the Bible, it says our cup must runneth over. There's a lot of teachings in the Bible that I think are profound, and there's a whole bunch of man-made crap in there too, but I talk about some of these teachings as well. We can become abundant. Our cup must runneth over. We can actually experience life as a human being that feels it's so good. There's so much freedom. There's health. There's happiness. There's fulfillment. There's magic. There's mystery, and there's stewardship. It feels so good to become a steward in ways too. And we all have gifts. It's all part of our soul. Like everyone has this potential. It's all in there. Um, so, in order to heal cancer and also to reach our potential, we have to become unattached to the soap operas. They need to not matter more than our story, not lose ourselves in all these stories outside of us, all these dramas, but instead write our own story that is not dependent on anybody. And we can do that. school makes us think that we can't. Like we have to have an authority there telling us, like teaching us all the information and how we should do this and that, and we can never do it alone. We got a whole group of people around us too, and all these authorities, and we're going to be tested on all this shit. But actually, if you can just let go of that, take responsibility in this most profound way, this really serious way with love, and be the creator of your life that and don't demand or expect other people to make it happen for you. Just really start spending time alone, spend time in God's nature. You'll receive inspirations, insights, set the intention to create your own soap opera that you're the star of for real, and make a mission to love yourself, be independent, become empowered so you don't have to take power from others to become a powerful person, become empowered. Learn how to love yourself. If you set that as your goal, that's the path. That's, I think, the highest potential for human beings is to do that.
Mm.
Get out of the soap operas. Cancer is a soap opera. Get out of it. Stop putting energy and time into this. It's a dark spirit that has come into your life. It's not there as a solution. It's not. Get out of it and become the creator of your life. Let go of your attachments and make something beautiful. What's really powerful is the human soul. You set an intention, things start happening. You make that choice, like that intention, things start happening. But you got to take full responsibility. I call it an initiation. It's real. It's not a walk in the park, but you can do it. Everyone can do it. People heal from stage 4 cancer, told you cannot heal. You know, I have clients that have healed like that. They've told you have 2 months and you're gonna die.
Wow.
Ironically, that's when people tend to let go of trying to find a cure and hoping that someone's going to fix the problem, and they stop being afraid of death, and then they can finally just actually love themselves and create the independence I'm talking about. And then
Mm.
it's like, oh my God, my cancer's gone. It's like, yeah, because your cancer is not caused from genetics and not caused from all these physical things. It's caused from what was going on inside your soul. And that's not your fault entirely. And it's no one's fault in any kind of a blame way.
Mm.
Humanity has a big challenge. So we got to heal ourselves and like one person at a time.
Mhm.
But don't even get attached to humanity healing. Just heal yourself. Just heal yourself. You matter.
Agreed. Paul, it's been an amazing chat. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and your knowledge. I think no matter who you are, where you're at in life, I think you'll get something out of this conversation that'll inspire you in some way, shape, or form to live a better life, or at least move in that direction. So I appreciate you, man. I'm going to link everything below in the show notes for everyone to come and listen to you, take on your programs, read your book, and all sorts of things like that. So yeah, until we talk again, or I want to meet you one day. I think it'd be good. I know you were in Australia not too long ago. I was going to come up to Queensland and see if I can catch up with you guys, but we'll have to do it
Cool.
soon. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, man. You have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. You too. Thanks, Adrian.
Bye now.